You are listening to the Fairways and Fundraising podcast, powered by Golf Event Planning, discussing charity fundraising and successful golf outings, along with tips and tricks of the trade. Now here's your host, Larry Battaglia.
Hello, and welcome to Fairways and Fundraising, powered by Golf Event Planning. Welcome aboard. This is episode number 4. And today, we're happy to have a good friend of ours, great man. I met him about 4 years ago at a golf outing, of course, a golf outing that we run, formerly for the Foundation for Sight and Sound. Now, this gentleman is involved with this event and has really spearheaded the event moving forward for his son, John. So, welcome, Gregg Thomas.
Thank you, Larry. It's great to be here.
Thanks for coming. We're happy to have you. Gregg, I just want to talk a little bit about the foundation that you got involved with a few years ago at this golf outing that we met. It's the Help America Here Foundation. Why don't you talk a little bit about how this mission is near and dear to you and your family?
I'd be glad to, Larry. Thanks. Help America Here originally started off under a different name. It was the Foundation for Sight and Sound. We looked at the mission of this 501c3 charity, and that was to help more people get the hearing aids and the medical services that accompanied that for the people who couldn't afford them nationwide. And so we changed the name to Help America Here. And in doing so, over the last 10 years, the charity has provided over 1,400 people across the U.S. with free hearing aids and the medical services that accompany those. And that really is a detailed offering. When it comes down to it, we have to find healthcare professionals who donate their time. We have to find hearing aid manufacturers who donate the products. And we have to coordinate care for those people. It's a very, very involved process. And this fantastic charity does it on a very limited administrative budget. So it's a pleasure to be part of this charity where we know the money's going to a good place.
Really a grassroots organization, and obviously a lot goes into this mission and helping those less fortunate. I will say, at this golf event, if you don't shed a tear, then you're not compassionate. I mean, it's one of the most heartfelt moments that we have all year long, and just to see people that we help at the event and those that have been helped, like your son. Why don't we talk a little bit about how we met at the golf outing and the reason why you're involved with this mission today?
I mean, among all of us, we all know someone who's affected by hearing loss, right?
That's right.
My son was playing in a baseball league, and his coach took one look at his hearing aids and said, "I'd like you, Dad, to join me at this golf outing. I think it'll certainly be important for you to see." So I came, and I had a fantastic day of golf. It was one of the best run events I'd ever been to. And after the cocktail hour, we all sat down and we listened to the mission. At the time, it was Foundation for Sight and Sound, now Help America Here. And the mission made me cry to see all of the people recognize that give a lot of their time, and then to look at the problem. And the problem was something that affected my son from birth. My son, John, was born a twin. His sister, Grace, and he were 25 weeks gestation, which means about 3.5 months early, too soon. No warning at all. We were blessed to get them home at all. Not even a couple days. 24 hours before we were able to get our first twin home was after 4.5 months of being in the NICU. We were about to take John home. His sister still had roadblocks to overcome, but they do an ABR test, which measures the nerve conduction from the ear to the brain. John's test was completely flatlined. There was no nerve conduction at all between the ear and the brain. So John was essentially deaf. So we went home, just glad to have him home, just happy that he was alive, and thinking of all the things ahead of us that we might have to tackle. As we began our journey, we still had one daughter in the NICU that was fighting for her life. So we kind of stratified. We'd bang pots and pans around the room, and we'd hope for some sort of expression from John, some sign that he was getting it. And for over 3 months, there was nothing. It wasn't easy, but it was our first child being born, our first children, so we didn't know anything different, so we took it in stride. And one of the cool things was after about 3.5, 4 months, and his sister had come home healthy from the hospital, banging pots and pans again, and all of a sudden John flinched, and he turned around, did a 180, and looked towards the sound. And it was one of those moments that as a parent you don't forget, and still gives you chills to talk about.
It gives me chills just hearing it. Yeah, truly amazing.
So we lucked out, right? Our son's hearing turned on. At the time, he was too little to really measure exactly what his hearing level would be as he got older. Now, John hears at about 75-80%, but he needs hearing aids to help him hear like other children.
So with the hearing aids, obviously, we just met a few years ago at this golf outing, and I believe you were bidding on a set of hearing aids that now John wears.
So who knew, right? Hearing aids only last for about 5 years if you're lucky. If you're a kid, you're lucky to get 3 years out of them.
And they're quite expensive as well.
They are. Average hearing aids are about $6,500 a pair, but that doesn't even include the insurance. If you have $6,500 hearing aids, you want to insure them. You could probably insure a $150,000 classic car for less than what you insure hearing aids for. Hearing aid insurance is about $600 to $800 a year.
Families that don't have the means, how do they do it? It's almost impossible. And I just can't imagine, without the work of the Help America Hear program, how those less fortunate, they probably go through life suffering from hearing loss.
There's no question. So one of the other reasons that this mission that the Help America Hear 501c3 embraces is so near to and dear to my heart is my own mother. For years, I watched her hearing decline. She refused to get tested. She refused to admit the problem.
Like most people would. Too proud.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, hearing aids are not the easiest thing to get used to. The old technology, people would not want to wear them. There'd be feedback. There'd be other things. Hearing aids have changed so much that if you're not taking advantage of getting better hearing, you're missing out on the world around you. You're missing everything going on. And my own mother missed out on it. Refused to spend the money as she got older because she wasn't sure how long she'd be on this earth. And she was right. It was only about 1.5 years after she moved up here with me that we got to enjoy her presence. I kind of said to myself at that point, I've got a son who doesn't hear well. Help America Hear changed his life. And I've got a mother who needed him and never got him. And there's so many people out there. And I kind of refuse to let that happen anymore. So my son has taken up the mission and he's allowed me to be along for the ride. And we're trying to, empower other people to do the same thing, which is to make light of how many people need hearing aids and can't pay for them, how few insurances do anything at all to cover hearing aids, and none cover good ones. So there's a tremendous cost involved. And there's a lot of great people out there that are willing to help people in need. And Help America Hear does just that. So for the first time in my life of working with charities in the past, I never got to see where the money went. And over the last couple of years, we've tangibly, at each event, brought in recipients who are up for hearing aids. And we got to see generous donors give to those in need right there on the spot. And within a week of this year's event, my son John and I got to go to the fitting where this young woman who was starting her professional career, who admittedly said no one's ever given her help in her life with anything, got one of the most phenomenal pairs of hearing aids donated by one of our attendees. And we got to see those hearing aids put in her ears. And she started her professional career with no disability. And it was fantastic to see.
I've been to 2 missions, and every time a recipient gets those hearing aids and their hearing is turned on, they come to tears. I mean, it's just truly amazing. It's just one of those missions that I just think is so worthwhile and so well-deserving. Again, grassroots organization that you can see where the money goes. It goes directly to help these recipients have the gift of hearing. So back to your son. So your son's name, John Thomas, which now the golf outing is called the John Thomas Golf Classic. We have it every year at the Huntington Crescent Club. In 2020, it'll be June 18th. We hope you can attend. As far as John goes, John had hearing aids prior to getting these new hearing aids. I think he always jokes at the golf outings that they were like tin cans. But now he has better hearing aids, and he's really jumped in and been thankful for this great gift, and he's trying to help. He MCs the event.
I couldn't get him off stage last year, which was kind of a nice thing to see. Right?
And how old is John?
John is now 10 years old.
Unbelievable.
When he first got up and spoke, he was 8 years old. So 3 years ago, when he was honored by the Help America Hear Foundation, he got up and delivered a speech in front of almost 200 people. I was so proud to see him do that, to gather up the courage to stand up there. But he knows what a good cause it is. He knows every word out of his mouth could mean that somebody else is going to get hearing aids that needs them. I've never seen him back down from a challenge. A very proud moment for any father to see.
The website is helpamericahear.org. We hope you like this episode. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review. So I know that this past golf outing, this past year in 2019, we did a promotional video that I believe now can be seen on the website at helpamericahear.org. So you can learn a little bit more about John, a little bit more about the Help America Hear program, and about the golf outing that we have every year at the Huntington Crescent Club here on Long Island. So John is into a lot of sports. Plays baseball and a few other sports.
Yeah, that's correct. When I first attended a golf outing, John had hearing aids. Like you mentioned, he said they sound like tin cans. Well, we didn't know that. He didn't know that. He didn't know there was anything better. His hearing aids were up for renewal. He needed new ones in August of that year. Lucky I got invited to this event. They had an auction, and I was lucky enough for $4,000 to get a pair of top-of-the-line hearing aids and also the accompanying medical services for my son.
How much would that normally cost?
The hearing aids would have been $8,000, but the medical services that went along with it are priceless because you're getting the best care. We were taking him to one of the hospital institutions that had a phenomenal hearing program. We didn't get nearly the level of care that we experienced when we went to McGuire's Hearing Centers. They're all over Long Island and the Bronx and Westchester.
David Carr, the president of the Help America Hear program, is the owner of McGuire's Hearing Center.
Absolutely. And so when I spent $4,000 at a golf outing on a set of hearing aids, my wife's first words were, "You didn't think to include me in that?" That decision, or how do you know? And so I kind of took a leap of faith at the event, but I saw how many great people were at this event. So I trusted in Mitch Shapiro and in David Carr that I was not going to be steered wrong. And boy, was I right, because they took John in, they assessed his current hearing aids, they looked at everything from tubing to the ear molds. They were a little surprised. They said, "Who did this to him?" And we had just been for a checkup 2 months before. So the minute we were introduced to McGuire's Hearing Center and the level of care that actually goes on in different practices, it blew us away. We thought we were doing right by our son. I'm embarrassed to say that he wasn't getting the top level of care that he could, but he is now. And it's all due to Help America Hear. If I hadn't been in the audience that day, if I hadn't bid on those hearing aids and spent $4,000 that my wife almost disowned me for, right? That it wasn't until the next morning that she was proud of what I did when we realized we made a great decision. And then we saw our son's life change. We saw him hear better. We saw him interact socially better. We saw him in a crowded room at family gatherings or at weddings be able to function and hear people, and the background noise didn't ruin his hearing altogether. So that's the level of change that hearing aids have underwent. And a lot of people don't know that. So those who think that getting hearing aids is too expensive and it's not going to do a lot for them, yes, it's expensive, but it's going to do a tremendous amount for them. And our goal is to make sure that nobody's left out.
Well, you're definitely reaching those goals to the Help America Hear program, Help America Hear Foundation, and helping those less fortunate. You mentioned Mitch Shapiro. So Mitch Shapiro is the founder of Help America Hear, and Mitch also has lost his hearing at an early age and lost his eyesight. So why don't we talk a little bit about Mitch, what an inspiring individual he is, and the vision that he had to create this foundation to help others. I'll tell you, I don't know how he does it. The man's truly an inspiration and has really led the charge in this program.
An inspiration, to say the least. When I met Mitch, the first thoughts I had is, how does he do this? How does he function? How does he bring people together? How does he survive a daily life that we all take for granted? But he doesn't just survive. He thrives. He brings people together. He makes lifelong friendships. He has amazing people that he surrounds himself with. And it's just a pleasure to be around. When I met Mitch for the first time, saw his cochlear implants, knowing the challenges he faced are so much greater than the challenges my own son faced. It's an inspiration to see someone living that well and giving back and making sure that other people are helped. So, yeah, when you say inspiration, Mitch is a huge reason that we show up every day and that we do our best to try to help people.
Yeah, it's truly unbelievable what he accomplishes in a day. To do it both blind and deaf is just really inspirational and truly amazing.
So he's now embarking on the 1,500 people mark of providing hearing aids for those in need in the medical services. And Mitch does that on almost a zero administration budget. He donates his time.
How is that possible?
Frankly, it's amazing. Mitch, if you ever go to his home, you'll hear him on the phone the whole day coordinating care, and he'll reach out to hearing providers across the country. When they assess someone's qualifications and they meet that for Help America Hear to receive these benefits, he tirelessly reaches out. And sometimes he's calling, I'll use Kansas, for example. He's calling physicians within a 300-mile radius because it's a very rural area. And not everyone wants to donate their services, but I'll tell you, so many do. But you have to find the right level of care, and you're not going to provide someone with subpar service. So Mitch tirelessly recruits physicians to donate their time and to make sure that the recipients get the best level of care. So it doesn't just mean 150 calls a year. It's probably 20 calls or more to each provider and coordinating the patient's visit and everything else that goes along with it. The hearing aids, you name it. There is so much coordinating, and Mitch tirelessly does this, and we're all grateful for the amount of support that he shows.
You know, we've been working with Mitch now for, I guess this is our 5th year, and I have to say, running these golf outings for Mitch and the foundation, it's truly one of our proudest moments through the year. It's just a special event to see where your money goes. You don't really get a chance at many of these fundraisers to actually see where your money goes. And that's something that every guest that attends the event, they know the mission by the time they leave that evening. Just to see the individuals that you help, it's unbelievable.
I agree, Larry. That's one of the reasons we love this 501c3 charity.
So the golf outing is June 18th, 2020 at the Huntington Crescent Club. Every year we're raising more money to help this great cause. So over the few years that you've been involved now, Gregg, I guess 3 years now, obviously the first year as an attendee was truly an unbelievable moment getting the hearing aids for John. I'm sure that over the last couple of years, there's another moment or two that might stick out that really was that feel-good moment. What moment would that be?
You know, Larry, that's a great question because they're accumulating. The first feel-good moment, we had a lady in the audience with John Elliott from CBS 2 News in New York as our MC. So he brought 2 recipients right to the stage and then sat my son right between them. We did the auction. Both of those recipients were given the gift of new hearing aids and medical services, and my son sat right between them. And the one woman to my son's right cried uncontrollably and hugged my son. And, you know, for a kid to be able to see that, I don't know
it's
what
life-changing.
I don't know what it's going to do
involved
for him down the line. I've never experienced anything like that. But as a 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid, to have someone deeply affected and impacted by other people's kindness is really amazing to see. And then we repeated it again this year. And John went for the fitting for the hearing aids for that person. So he got to see not just when someone agreed to purchase them for someone in need, but he got to see how it changed her life. And that's what we're doing. So on the 23rd of November of this month, we are going to be fitting, I think, over 10 people with new hearing aids at one of the McGuire's Hearing Centers out on Long Island. Those are the moments that really mean the most. You see all of these people and their families that care so deeply for their family members, and they show up in droves to be part of this experience. And it really is special to see people hear like they did when they were children again for the first time, or to hear when they've never had good hearing their entire lives. It's a meaningful moment. I'm grateful my son's going to be there. The one thing we really want to do is garner more corporate support, because at the end of the day, we do this on the proceeds from a golf outing. If we had corporate support, we could probably double our outreach in the blink of an eye and triple our outreach even so. So there's some good ideas in place. What we've done is great, but it's never enough because there's so many people that need the help that aren't getting it. and there are so few services available to those folks.
We just started planning the golf outing for 2020. Why don't we detail a little bit about what the day is like when you come to the golf outing for Help America Here?
Well, I've got it, before we even get there, to the day of the event. We've got fantastic planners. And Larry, I know I'm not going to make a commercial for you. I know you wouldn't want that, but Golf Event Planning puts on the best event that I've ever attended. Gone to plenty of golf outings over the years, and none can hold a candle to what Larry Battaglia and his team do. So when we get to the event, we know it's well done. We know it's organized. We know everything is absolutely perfect. And now we get to enjoy it. So you get to the event, you have a phenomenal brunch. There's a myriad of additional add-ons that are there. The venue looked like a 5-diamond hotel that we got to this year.
Great new clubhouse at the Huntington Crescent Club.
It was run perfectly. It was just, the whole day was a pleasure.
My favorite part of the day is when we raise money that evening to help these children with hearing loss.
Absolutely. And for those out there that run golf outings or are part of these planning committees, this year was a rain date for us. So we had everything planned out, everything to a T. And a couple days before, our MC was John Elliott from Channel 2 News. He said it's going to be a washout.
He would know.
And he was right. And he was absolutely right. And it was terrible that day. So Larry got us a rain date ahead of time.
It's that one thing you can't control, but everyone worries about.
And, we couldn't control it. We rescheduled, and we had a phenomenal event. I could not be happier with the results, the way it was run, the food, the service, everything from check-in all the way through the whole process was...
How about the golf? That's
well,
right.
We did play some golf, didn't we?
There was golf out.
It was fantastic. The course was in great shape. Just can't be happier with the way things went, except my golf score. We enjoyed it nonetheless.
And of course, the Ivorone family from Ivorone Brothers always supports the event. They do a little on-course tasting out there on the course for the golfers.
Ivorone Brothers, of course, showed up, as they have for many years, and supported this cause that's near and dear to their hearts. They provided us with, what did we have?
Shrimp mojito
shooters that were to die for. We had amazing Italian paninis.
Their food's always great.
In addition to that, we had Anthony's Coal Fire Grill this year that showed up. They did a phenomenal job. And in years past, I'll tell you how good the food's been. We had Del Frisco Steakhouse that ended up doing a beautiful table tent display right off of one of the elevated greens, and it was a hole that I eagled.
Oh, that's great. You'll never forget it.
Used my drive, and my second shot, my friend said that looked like a great shot. I said, what do I know? It's a blind green. We get up there, and I'm looking all over the place, and there's 30 people standing around. I go, did anyone see my ball? No, they're at the Del Frisco's table getting shaved steak and tuna tacos, and I look, and it's in the hole. We eagled a hole, my very first eagle ever, and nobody saw it, so... Thank you, Del Frisco's, because they obviously did a great job. A lot of our vendors, all these events that we put on, people show up because it's a cause that means something to them. And this year was special as well. We had a lot of corporate sponsors as well. We can always do better, though.
Yeah, no one goes home hungry. We definitely move them at the event. They learn a lot about the Help America Here program, the great cause and work that they do. So, again, the golf outing is June 18th, 2020. Gregg, you and your family are involved with a few other fundraisers, if I'm not mistaken, in your local community. We have some holidays coming up. Why don't you tell us about that?
I guess charity starts at home, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
The neighborhood I live in on Long Island, called Nassau Shores in Massapequa, we always put on good events for the kids of the neighborhood and the residents. And the holidays coming up, we like to decorate one of the big traffic circles in the neighborhood and close it down and bring all the neighbors together. So last year on Black Friday, and must have been 18-degree weather or less, we thought we'd have about 400 people. We had about 1,400 people ring in the holiday season, and that's some of the other events that I get involved in that feel good, but nothing makes me feel better than seeing someone's life change, bringing it back to Help America Here. That's really where my heart is, and our families as well, because we saw our son's life change, and so many others are changing also.
Yeah, they are. Amazing work that you do with the Help America Here program. Your son John is truly an inspiration as well. What a great kid. We all love when he speaks at the event. He captures everyone's attention. John actually got out on the golf course a little bit this past this past year.
Yes, he did. He hit our walk-off putt on 18.
Amazing.
He finished our round for us. It was like a 22-foot putt. I said, all right, we'll let John go first. He finished out the last couple holes because, of course, we don't let him out of school early for anything. But when he did, he knocked that putt in, and we all couldn't believe it because we couldn't sink a putt all day. And he knocked it in, and we all went and celebrated.
All at 10 years old.
Yeah, he's, thank God to Mitch Shapiro, David Carr, yourself, all the people involved with Help America Here, because without it, John might have still been struggling. Right now, he does everything that any other 10-year-old kid can do, and we're very grateful for that.
So this year, we're instituting an honoree for the golf outing, John Michael from Suris and Associates. John's been a good, close personal friend of yours, and also someone that has really jumped in with both feet and tackled this mission in helping get some of those corporate sponsors and foursomes to the event.
It's very rare that you're able to find someone so deserving to be honored. John is someone that I knew from the minute I moved to New York in 1998. As I got to know him much more over the last couple of years and seeing the person he is, how he dedicates himself to helping others, never leaves a friend in need, and really jumped on board with this cause and pulled all of his contacts and tirelessly worked. And when we had the rain date, he exhausted every option that he could to make this event successful. He's just a great family man. He's a good husband. He's a good father. And we're proud to honor him this year because he does a lot of things for a lot of people. And sometimes people don't get recognized for that. So we took our time, and we're really grateful that he accepted our offer to honor him this year.
It should be a great year once again for such a great cause. June 18th, 2020 at the Huntington Crescent Club in Huntington, Long Island. I know we're proud to be a part of this great cause as event planner for the organization. Gregg, it's been an absolute pleasure becoming your friend over the last few years. You, Danielle, John, the entire Thomas family, and the Ivorone family are just great people, amazing. What you're helping others achieve is just truly, truly amazing. Again, it's helpamericahere.org. Please go to the website, learn a little bit more about it. Gregg, thank you for your time today. It was a pleasure learning more about you, your son, and the mission of the Help America Here Foundation.
Well, thank you, Larry. Thanks for the honor of being here and helping promote such a great cause to help people here.
Again, we hope you liked this episode. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Fairways in Fundraising podcast, powered by Golf Event Planning. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and please remember to subscribe, rate, and review.